Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching from. Thanks for tuning in today. We have got a fun topic to cover today. We are going to be chatting about tipping. It's interesting, and there's been a lot, there's always a lot of drama around this topic. Um, it's a challenging one for sure. And it's something that is very subjective. Everybody has a different opinion on it, and has different feelings on what you should and shouldn't be tipping. One of the topics related to tipping that I just want to touch on quickly is currency. Okay, so um, a lot of people have, this is the age old question, is should you tip in dollars or pesos? And I'm going to tell you, I mean, anything is appreciated, right? So whether it's dollars or pesos, don't leave coins, because if they're foreign currency, they cannot do anything with these, other than, I guess, ask other guests to exchange them. Certainly, I've been asked that before. Somebody had tipped they gave the person 10 US $1 coins, and of course, they can't use those in Mexico, and that's the same here. For the most part, foreign currency coins are not widely accepted, generally at all. But anyways, I ended up just giving them a $10 bill, in exchange for the coins, because I live right by the border, so I could use them. Fair enough. But beyond that, I will say that definitively, pesos is the answer. It's the same as when you go into any foreign country, you want to use the currency of said country. What further complicates it is, and I didn't know this, I just always assumed to tip in local currency made sense. But then I found out actually that in order for them to exchange money, they either have to go to a currency exchange house, in which case they would have to provide a passport to go to the exchange counter. But something like 80% of Mexicans don't hold a passport. So, yeah, that presents a challenge. You might say, well, they could just go to the bank and exchange it there. Well, I learned that apparently about 70% of Mexicans don't have an actual bank account. So basically, you're creating a real challenge for them. And honestly, they work so hard and such long hours and so many days each week that if they've been slogging it out in the sun, bringing you drinks all day long, do you then want to put them in a position where they've got to spend more time on their time off trying to exchange into the local currency? Alternatively, they can use it, but they're probably not going to get a great exchange rate on it. So pesos, local currency, tip in that currency, is my opinion. Also, I just want to say, if you are enjoying this video, if you enjoy my videos, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. If you hit the little bell button, then you'll actually get notified if I'm going live or if a new video has been released. So let's carry on. Okay, so here's our topics for today. We're going to talk tipping. My first topic is housekeeping, and this was an interesting one. In the end, it is somewhat subjective. I think if you are a very messy person, then probably you should be tipping more. But also, I think that some people think that they're quite tidy, and they are not. So this is an interesting one. This is just a bunch of questions that I posed on the community tab on YouTube. And so the vast majority of people said they would tip $2 to $4 a day. And actually, I want to jump back, because the first answer option that I gave on this was $0, basically saying it's their job. And there is this, so unfortunately, a lot of resorts have jumped onto the sandals bandwagon and said tipping's included. Okay. So here's the skinny on that one. With sandals resorts, their policy is tipping is not accepted. If a guest insists, then the tip can be put towards the Sandals Foundation, which goes to local communities and that kind of thing. But the policy is they're not supposed to accept a tip. I have seen it happen. I've seen bad service when it didn't happen, when people didn't tip. So, I mean, look, there's always people are going to try to get around stuff, different ways. But yeah, it does happen. But like I said, a lot of resorts have jumped on this bandwagon, and you will see everywhere from Dreams to Secrets to Royalton to Palace Resorts to Hard Rock Resorts will probably all say somewhere on their website that gratuities or tips are included. But these people are making like $1 an hour, like $8 a day. So no, I mean, honestly, tipping's not included because it's not they're not tipping, they're not paying the wages accordingly. I guess, I mean, I don't know, maybe if that's a comparable wage, I don't know. But certainly if you have a person who's working at a resort and they're not in a customer facing position, they're behind the scenes, one of the line cooks or the head chef or people in management. Well, management's a little bit different. But, for example, the chefs, that kind of thing, the gardeners, technically, yeah, they're out there, people see them, but, are they getting a higher wage? And the answer is, to the best of my knowledge, yes, these people are getting a higher wage because they know that housekeeping and bartenders and servers, both at bars and in the restaurants, they're all, customer facing. So chances are people are going to be slipping them some money. So anyways, back to housekeeping. So there was a good percentage of people who voted for 0, who said, no, it's their job, it's included. And what was interesting is I did actually Google this the other day because I was kind of curious what some of the travel vloggers were saying. And it was interesting because according to ว็მს디ソul.com, there was an article that they did about tipping in Mexico at all-inclusive resorts. And they said basically not to tip for housekeeping unless you trash the room. I mean, they still have to, make the bed or change the sheets, make the bed, clear your towels away, clean the bathroom. I mean, gross. And any other surfaces that may be dirty, clean up all your empty drinking glasses, take away any of your empty plates from housekeeping, basically put everything back to where it is, everything's in its proper place. They have a set style that they want each room to have, where the phone goes a certain place, the light is a certain place, little notepad goes a certain place, the remote control goes in a certain place. So there's a lot to do. So I totally disagree with ว็მს디소ul.com on this one. On the other hand, Fearless Female Travels, as far as they were concerned, they said 40 pesos per day, which is a couple of dollars, converted approximately, depending on the exchange rate. So yeah, so for this one, we did have a few people who said they would tip higher, $5 to $7 a day. And actually some people said over $8 a day. So it's a good range, that's for sure. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is drinks. And let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with this, with what the majority of people have voted for? Do you agree with these numbers? Do you think it should be more, should be less? Are there other circumstances in which you think more or less? I left this one pretty broad. Personally, if somebody is hauling their butt across the hot, sandy beach, in the hot, hot sun, and bringing me a mojito, which is a pain in the butt to make, then yeah, I'm going to give them at least a few bucks. But I usually don't order mojitos. I mean, I know they're a pain to make, so I tend to just stick with easier things. But Nonetheless, they're hauling across the beach. Now, if I go up to the bar and I'm asking for a can of beer, mm, but still, I'm probably at minimum, it's going to be $1 a drink or $1 a round, maybe if it's just cans of beers, and that's literally like, here you go. But what do you think? This is what the results were. The vast majority said $1 to $2 per drink. And again, we still did have a pretty decent group who in this case voted for $0 for tipping. So what do you think about that? I don't know. And then there were some people who said a lot more. And it was interesting. I was having a side conversation. Angelo, I don't know if you're watching, but Angelo and I were messaging the other day. And as I said, I think if you have anybody who's in the service industry, for example, if you have a server who goes on vacation, they tip like they want to have no money left. They're extremely generous. They know how hard the job is. They know how ungrateful a lot of people can be. So it's not uncommon for me to see people who are servers themselves to tip $5 or even more dollars per drink. So it's interesting. Oh, hi, Angel. So yeah, it does a bit depend, I think, on your background. And also if you're in an industry where you are customer facing and you are in a service job and you don't normally get tips, as a travel agent, dealing with destination wedding groups and dealing with a lot of very high maintenance people, and you hear about these bridezillas and stuff. I have to say 90% of my brides were great to work with. Some of the family members, not so much. But that said, I think I could count on one hand the number of times that I received a gift from my clients. And it's just, it's not something that is thought of. But yeah, so oh, hi Jane. Better late than never. Yep, exactly. And I'll say as well, if you've watched the ads that come on when the video starts and you join in a little bit late, I do sort of start out with a bit of sort of fluff at the beginning, just so that you have a chance to watch the ads if they come up. If you do, thank you, because that's actually how I get paid, in case you didn't know. So please watch the ads, at least 30 seconds of them. Okay. And yeah, that's how that works. Okay. Next topic is, there we go, the buffet. Oh, this is an interesting one. Lunch and dinner, you're probably going to have drinks, beer, wine, usually the easy stuff, not so much cocktails, is what I see, what I experience. But in the morning, coffee. I see a lot of that. Mimosas. Angela, I don't know if you agree with this, but when I was in the restaurant, I forget his name, Valentino, I think. I forget. The larger gentleman, he was walking around with trays of mimosas because so many people were asking for them. It got to the point where he literally just had a tray. He would go and get a tray of them, and he would walk around table to table. Would you like a mimosa? Would you like a mimosa? Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. So yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah. You go with your friends that are in different camps, tipping, and when they disagree how much to tip for drinks. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's different. Everybody's got their own opinion on things. And yeah, and with any group, you're going to find that based on their culture, based on their habits, all the tipping is going to vary a lot. Yeah, he was great. He was really, like, he was great at his job. Like I said, recognizing that if everybody wants mimosas, just go and get a tray full. Makes it easier for him and keeps everybody happy. That's for sure. Dean, if you're watching, I know you remember these people's names, so let me know. So anyways, the answer on this one, the vast majority said they would go with the higher amount. And yeah, basically it was like keep the most mimosas and the coffee flowing. So yeah, definitely. All right. Okay. And oh, and there was somebody, and they said they would tip a lot more. And I don't know if they put a comment down below, but again, I would expect that's probably somebody who works in the industry. So it's always interesting. But these were good learnings for me. I think we want to do the right thing. And I think, John, I don't know if you're watching now or if you watch later, but I think you commented and you had a totally valid question. And like you said, if the resort says the tipping is included, then should you be tipping on top of that? And I think, like I said, the reality is that the resorts have glommed onto that sandals catch line or whatever, or that concept, so that people feel like they don't need to tip. But the reality is the workers are working really hard and doing everything that they can to keep you happy. So yeah, just do it. Okay, and next one is the shuttles and the taxi. Okay, so shuttle is one thing, especially if like an airport shuttle specifically was what I'm talking about. But when it comes to, got a comment. Oh, yes, and the omelet station. Good point, Bojangles. That's something that I have only seen in the last couple of years. It's interesting, but I'm seeing more where people will order their omelet and they'll just sort of put a $1 bill down by, again, okay, so they're tipping in American, but whatever, everything's appreciated. Might be a bit more of a pain to use it, sort it out, exchange it, but any tip is a good tip. But yeah, tipping at the omelet station for the, custom made to order omelet is becoming a thing, which is interesting because I guess I can never be bothered to stand in the line for the omelet station. Although I will say, where was it? I forget which resort we stayed at. I think it was the Rio in the Bahamas. I think they had like 3 omelet stations, which I thought was pretty thoughtful because quite often, and even just a made-to-order egg, sunny side up or whatever, it's interesting to see what that they're accommodating that and trying to avoid the massive lineups. And also when they design them so that the people who are lining up for the omelet station aren't in front of the main stations, like more food stations, like the sausages and the bacon, which is what everybody's going to be looking for, as well as hash browns. Anyways, I digress, as usual. So shuttles versus taxi. So shuttle, I'm talking airport shuttle here, and taxi, well, taxi could be anywhere, but did you know it is not customary to tip for a taxi in Mexico? I mean, obviously it is here in Canada, North America, or Canada and the US, but in Mexico, it's not. I mean, if the person helps you with your bags, if you're going to or from the airport or you're moving around from hotel to hotel and they help put your bag in the car, then apparently that would deem it to be expected. But otherwise it's not. So quite interesting on that one. So that's why I put the first answer being 0. It's not customary. But here's the answers. So basically, Jesus is small today. You can tell when I've been on the computer a lot because it just gets so hard to see everything. We'll throw the glasses on for a second. So yeah, $2 to $5 per person, or 10% of the ride cost. So that's obviously can be more when it comes towards a shuttle if you're going that route. But yeah, so away with those. Okay, next topic, a la carte dining. And this is one where some people go, I mean, it depends. I've seen people put $20 down before. I've seen people walk away paying nothing. But again, we've got a good mix in here. Where do you fall? I also think it depends if it's like teppanyaki show cooking, because then you're kind of getting a bit of a show as well. And holy Hannah, do those people have talent. I mean, the fact that they will flip an egg up into their chef hat and also sushi chefs, like, come on, the skill that they have being able to, I mean, like being in Vancouver, we have some of the most amazing sushi restaurants on the West Coast. And so I appreciate a well-rolled sushi roll. And also when they sort of art it up a bit with the food and vegetables, I mean, that's quite something. Not to say that I don't enjoy a good steak or even a pasta dish, but at the end of the day, really what we're talking about here is tipping the server. And this is where it came in. So basically, $1 to $2 per person, which is interesting because, and also, you can see that there were some votes. If we go that side right here, there were some votes for $10 per person. So again, I think it depends what type of meal you're getting and what type of service you're getting. I mean, if the person's on point, then I'm always happy to tip more if I feel like it was really an amazing service. Okay, next one is butler service. Okay, this is a tough one. I don't know anybody who is really even comfortable using butlers. It just feels, I don't know. Angela's saying $5 per person for the restaurant. Yeah. I mean, if it's a la carte breakfast, if it's a la carte lunch, I mean, if it's a la carte lunch, then I'm sitting down. I'm probably either having a cocktail or wine, and there's going to be refills. So, then you kind of revert back to if you were sitting at your beach chair and they kept bringing you drinks, if you're tipping $1 or $2 per drink, then yeah, that all adds up. And honestly, the fact, like, even when they're keeping you hydrated with water and refilling your water glass, I mean, hey, giddy up on that because, you need it. You need it. So butler service, this is a really tough one. Like, honestly, what I want to know is whoever said $100, okay, because here's the results. Okay, so some people did vote that they would tip $100 or more for a week's worth of butler service. And everyone holding butler, I've seen crazy amounts. Yeah, from $0 to $200. Wow. See, and that's the thing. So what I want to know is whoever is saying they would tip $100 or more for a week of butler service, what are you getting them to do for you? Because honestly, like, we've had it before at different resorts where and then maybe it's not a butler service per se, but more of a concierge, but as close as I've come to having a butler. Okay, so once when we were in the Dominican, and I mean, we were staying in a nice villa and everything, and we were there for an awards event. And where we were staying, our room was at about the farthest place away from where the actual award ceremony was going to be held. And my husband was wearing a suit. I was wearing a fancy dress and corresponding shoes. So we did ask our butler to arrange one of those little golf cart things because, they're driving all around the property. But we said, on this day at this time, can you arrange that? Other than that, I mean, most of the resorts I stay at are, no, don't require reservations for a la carte dining. So, if you're not are making arrangements for that, making reservations for that, what the heck are you guys using your butlers for? I mean, they can unpack your clothes sometimes that's the service that they offer, but I'm like, no, no. I hate packing. I really, really hate packing. But do I want them that's now they're dealing with my dirty clothes. Do I want them to do that? Like, I don't know. I just can't. Hmm. Oh, yeah. Afraid to ask what they had them do for $200. Yeah, well, that's a good question. Um, I think that it really comes down to just that people know what services that they can provide, and they're utilizing them. So again, and I mean, if you're watching this, if you're watching now, if you're watching later, let me know. What have you ever used your butler for? Because I don't know. I mean, at LeBlanc once, we were staying at LeBlanc in Cancun, and they actually gave us a list of all the things that they could do. I think they wanted us to, take pictures and do all this stuff. I didn't, but my girlfriend ended up getting them to she got them to draw they had like a wine, uh, not flavored or scented, but it was like a wine inspired bath thing that they could do. So it was kind of scented, and it was, foamy bubbles and all this kind of stuff. So my girlfriend got that done. Um, I asked for white wine in the room, nice chilled white wine at the end of the day, because we knew we'd be out seeing a million things and hot, sweaty in our sort of dressy work clothes. So I wanted a cool glass of wine in the room. And so they did that for me. But otherwise, like, I don't know. I don't know. I just have no idea. So for me personally, I agree with what everybody is saying here. And I fall into that probably $40 for the week, just because I feel obligated, but I'm not really using them for anything. And can't think of what else to use them for. And I get it too, right? Like I've been told off before by servers for taking my glass up to the bar, and I just thought I'm being helpful. I'm cleaning up after myself, which I'm born and raised and taught to do that. But the server said, that's my job. And she said, if you do my job, then I have no job to do. And if management sees that, then I won't have a job. So I thought, oh, okay. I mean, that was just a different perspective. I mean, I still tend to, I just can't, some habits are hard to break. And so trying not to be rude to the servers, but at the same time, understanding where they're coming from. It's kind of, I appreciated the fact that she told me, because otherwise I wouldn't have necessarily have thought that. Angela's saying, I've ever done the wine cellar dinner in the private dinner at a resort. Yeah. Yes, I have. Oh, okay. Well, I haven't done it where I've paid for it. I've done it as part of a fam trip, work trip, where they did a chef's table type dinner. And it was an amazing experience. They had the hot lava rock, and they brought the piece of meat out, and you got to cook it with sort of like chopsticks, metal chopsticks, to your liking, and it seared like right in front of you. It was pretty spectacular, and it was like an 8-course meal. Actually, you know what? I have done it. I did it at Grand Vilas in Cabo, where again, it was a tasting menu. It was they had like a Michelin star chef at the hotel. So yeah, I'm taking advantage of that. And I think we each tipped like $20. which, in my opinion, I thought that was good, but, other people might go, "Oh, you cheapskate." I don't know. It's, what did you tip? You don't have to share, but I'm curious. Oh, there you did. You already typed it. $20 per person because we're only taking care of you. Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. Yeah, exactly. Didn't know if it was enough or too much or not enough. That's a really good point. And I think that's why having these conversations is useful, because you can at least get kind of um, a mainline for how much. Now, I mean, that said, we've got, these are just votes that people have come in on. And, if you're in a tight financial situation, if you're like, this is your one trip a year, and you're otherwise living check to check, and mortgage rates are high, interest rates are high, if this is just your chance to finally get away and relax, and that's kind of where you're at your limit, then you might tip on the lower side, but at least you're contributing something. We do what we can. If you're retired and you got bags of money hanging around and minimal expenses, and you can afford to tip more, then you might look at some of these numbers and go, wow, like, why aren't these people, the whole, if you can afford to travel, then you can afford to tip. And I do believe that, but, we all have expenses as well. So that gets tricky. Yes. So also, when we did have a private dinner, again, this was something that they just did for us. This was at the Hyatt Ziva Riviera Cancun. I am just been reminded that they did a private dinner for us, and it was like, these are the candlelight dinners that you see at, Dreams, Secrets, Hyatt, Ziva, Zolaris. Really, any of the resorts will do these candlelight dinners. They're usually anywhere from $100 to $200 cost. And they basically said, okay, I had done a lot of videos, so I think this was kind of their thank you. And I do the videos because A, I want to share the information. B, I don't mind getting the extra views. Watch the ads. Thank you. That's how I get paid. But mostly I enjoy doing them. I enjoy sharing it. And I get really annoyed when I'm trying to look at a resort and find out, like, if I have a choice between resort A and resort B, and resort A has everything going for it as resort B, but resort A has older bathrooms with curtains, yuck, and resort B has a glass shower door, I'm gonna pick B. But it's like, it's just little things like that. Because if everything else is equal, there's got to be something that outweighs the other. So that's why I use these videos as reference. And I've found that it seems like a lot of you use my videos for those purposes as well. So thank you for watching. Yeah, that's why I do the videos. But anyways, they gave us this wonderful dinner, and I forget how much we left. I think we left at least $20 or $30. And I know I could have left more. But again, you got one server looking after us. And as Angelo said, it's not like they had any other tables. It was just the one table that they were looking after, just us. And hoofing it from the restaurant quickly out to our table before it got cold, because we weren't close to the restaurant, and we also weren't enclosed. So, food does lose its temperature quickly. But yeah, so I don't know. Those are my two examples. Yeah. I mean, if you have the means, share the love, right? And that is one thing that I'll say you'll probably notice, at least with all of the colleagues that I've ever worked with, most of them. If we're going on a work trip, And it was breezy. Yeah, it was very breezy. Yeah, so they just had to hustle a lot in order to get the food out to us. Whenever we've done work trips, if we're doing a work trip and it's a fam trip, then sometimes we have to pay to stay at the hotel. The familiarization trip is what it's called, fam trip, short for. And the idea is for us to go and see the resort and experience it, and have our firsthand knowledge of the resort so that we can share that with our clients, so we can make better recommendations for them. Understanding that Hyatt Ziva Riviera Cancun is on a smaller, bit more rockier beach. It's good for snorkeling, but you got to wear water shoes because it's rocky. It's beautiful, but it can get seaweed or the sargassum from time to time. It's just the way the currents run in that area. Blue Bay Grand Esmeralda almost always has seaweed, sargassum. We know that because we've seen them. We've seen it any month of the year. It's going to happen. Other resorts very rarely get it. So what I was going to say is, side conversations going on. If you see a group of travel agents and they're sitting there having lunch together in one of the restaurants, you will probably see the servers sort of hovering, and you will probably see hands into pockets or purses and a good whack of cash being left on the table. And I think the philosophy is, if they're comping us the room or giving it to us for a discounted price, then we are going to share that love back to the employees, in as much as we're going to overtip. Certainly, like I said, that's the case with anybody. Most of the people, 90% of the people I've ever worked with, where $5 to $10 per person was not uncommon for a la carte lunch. So consequently, you got 6 or 7 people. That's a pretty whacking good tip. Especially when you put it in perspective of the fact that if their average wage is like $8 to $10 a day, kind of a bit of a bonanza time. But I mean, to me, that's just what we should be tipping. Other question Angelo has: tip your pool or bartenders all at once on the first day, or per drink, or per day? Well, okay, that's an interesting one, and that's one that I took a learning from a couple that was at, where were they at? We met them at Hyatt Ziva Riviera Cancun and got chatting with them, blah, blah, blah. Didn't exchange information, emails, blah, blah, blah. Didn't. No, moving on. Life goes on. Along comes Hyatt Zilara Riviera Maya. We're there about a week or 2 weeks, I think it was, after opening. And lo and behold, this other couple was there. They're Hyatt globalists or whatever, so they get good rates. And so we ran into them, and Hyatt Zilara Riviera Maya is pretty remote, in as much as it's about a $30 taxi ride anywhere off the property, because where it's located, you got to kind of go down this big long road, and it's not near anything, can't walk to anything. So it becomes a challenge if you're running low on tip money or money in general. I have learned that if you go to the bartender or the bell desk, the bag porters, these are the people who are getting lots of ones and $2, $1, $5, that kind of thing. So if you end up that you've only got 20s or hundreds left, these are probably the people who, or larger Mexican denominations, these are probably the people who can break it for you. So if you've got 500 pesos or 1,000 peso bill, go to the bartender, because they're the ones who will break it for you. That said, this other couple, we were in this situation where we're seriously running low on tip money. And so, we just got chatting. What do you think of the resort? Oh, well, I think this, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, but the only problem is this resort is more difficult in terms of, getting to and from, blah, blah, blah. And I said, we're running out of tip money and all I've got left is big bills. And she said, well, she says, I forget if she said that they always did this or her same thing happened to them. Anyways, what her husband did is he would find his spot by the pool. The guy would come, or the woman would come around to take their drink order, and he would inquire if that was their section, if they were going to be there all day. And if they were, he would hand them a 20 at the beginning of the day. I go, here you go, keep them coming, blah. And then at the end of the day, she said, if the service was amazing and it warranted more drinks or more tips, he could give additional money afterwards. But if you're planning on spending the whole day in that same area, then why not tip big at the beginning, and then instead of worrying about $1 or $2 each time, right? Especially if they're pooling tips, then all the better, because then anybody who comes by, if it's a different person who comes to get you a drink whilst the other person is on their lunch break or looking after a different customer, whatever, then you don't have to worry about it. So, Angela, I think, honestly, that's what my preference is. Not so much at the bars, because I'm just not going to spend that much. Honestly, at any given place, I'm about 2 hours maximum, and then I'm bored. Although between, sitting with you at the Hyatt Vivid and also sitting with, Jeremy and Michael and Tom, I think it was, and Wendy, at the Vivid as well. I mean, we sat and chatted for a long, long time. So that would have made more sense, just to do a big tip at the beginning and then not be fussing about it every round of drinks. But that's personally what I like. I don't necessarily do it per day. Ted. Yes, Ted. Thank you. I knew it started with a T. And hi, if any of you are watching, how are you? I think that's the easiest way to do it. I don't like tipping per day for things like housekeeping. I used to do it once per week. But if the day that you leave the tip, the day that you're going home, if that's the person's day off that's been helping you all week long, then that kind of sucks for them, right? So yeah, I just prefer to do it on a more regular basis. So anyways, that's just me. But let me know what you guys think, if you agree, disagree, if you have other thoughts on it. Okay, last one of the day is, oh, yeah. So this got me thinking. So earlier this year, we were staying at the Rio. Well, we stayed first of all, we stayed at a different hotel because I messed up my reservation. But it's a whole nother story. Anyways, we stayed at the Rio Palace, Cabo San Lucas, and then we had about 4 or 5 days there, and then another 4 or 5 days at the Rio Palace, Baja California. Now, both of those properties have elevators, but whilst I was there, I also wanted to check out the Rio Santa Fe. Not a palace resort, so it's a more basic resort, and it's more of a party resort. Okay, this is where they have the Rio parties and stuff like that, and a much, much younger crowd. But one of the things when I was doing the site inspection, walking around and stuff, that the sales manager wanted to make sure that I was aware of is that in the Rio Santa Fe section, in that resort, which they're all co-located, but if you're at the Rio Santa Fe, you have access to nothing else. If you're at the if you're at the Rio Palace, Cabo San Lucas, you can go there and to the Rio Santa Fe. And if you're at Baja California, you can go to all three. But if you're staying in the Rio Santa Fe, if you're staying in the Ocean View section, there is an elevator in that building, but it's quite a large, sprawling resort, and they're even expanding it because it's so popular. But if you're staying in any of the Rio pool party rooms or any of the courtyard view rooms, basically anything that doesn't say Ocean View, there is no elevator in these buildings, and there are, I want to say 3 stories, 2 or 3 stories. So, I mean, as they usually bring your luggage to your room. So if they're doing this, then and they've got to huff it up like 1 or even 2 stories, then how much are you tipping? Oh, just going back to Angelo saying, per drink at the pool bar, moving around a bit. So many choices. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when you're moving around, it makes sense to do it more on a per item basis. Yeah, it's if you've settled in for the day, then but yeah, that was a big thing because I did do resorts like that where there's sort of different sections. I know that a lot of people would say they'd be up at the rooftop and then it's like, oh, I wonder what's happening down below. And you kind of get FOMO going on where it's like, well, what if there's a big party down there? I don't know. And what if the vibe's better upstairs, So a lot of people did move between the downstairs and the upstairs because there's the main pool area below and then the rooftop pool, which is beautiful. And then there was a beach club too. So, I mean, there's basically 3 different areas where people might hop to throughout the day. But anyways, going back to this, hoofing your bags up the stairs. So this is what everybody decided in the end, like $1 or $2 per bag. If it's a big, like a lot of times I'll take my big suitcase, which is a really awkward size because it's sort of oversized, which it's a hard-shelled case. If I don't fill it completely, then it's more likely to get smushed in or bent. Pro tip, if you don't know this, which means to say then I just do a crap pack. So instead of rolling my clothes up tightly so they're more efficiently packed, I just put them down flat on top of each other, just like a stack of clothing you'd see at a retail store. That is the 100% worst way to pack. It is the way that you will have the most wrinkles in your clothes. It is the way you will take up the most space in your bags. So if you want to be efficient, roll your clothes. But unfortunately, if I'm efficient with that bag, it's seriously heavy because it's full. So yeah, 20 kilos or 44 pounds, that's a lot to be carrying up, not just a flight of stairs, but maybe 2 flights of stairs in that crazy heat. Like they literally have sweat running down their faces. So for any of those guys, I mean, if they're just rolling it down the hallway into the elevator, ding, rolling it into your room in an air-conditioned environment, that's easier. But if they're hauling it up the stairs, yeah, I'd be more like $5 a bag, honestly. And also some people have commented and said, if they come into the room and they actually show you how the air conditioning works, where the safe is, test the safe for you, make sure the battery's not low, all of that kind of good stuff. If they come in and they do all of that, I think that also, that's warrants, a little bit more than just $1 a bag for sure. So yeah, anyways, let me know what you think on these topics. And if you have any alternative thoughts, it's always fun having these chats. And, as Angelo said, it's interesting to find out if you're like seriously under tipping or if you're seriously over tipping. And sometimes that's okay. I mean, I don't mind feeling like a Rockefeller sometimes, and spreading the money around where it's warranted. And if I can, put some money back into the local economy, they can spend it on whatever they want. It's good, but I don't like to feel like I might be under tipping. That kind of makes me feel yucky, and I don't want to take advantage. So yeah. So let me know if you think of anything else. If you have any other comments related to tipping that we haven't discussed, I'd love to hear from you. And, once again, if you are enjoying this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. And we will be back again next Wednesday as usual. Oh, there we go. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK time. John, hope you're doing okay. Haven't heard from you in a while. Probably you're just traveling. Hope you're well. Hope you're all well. Hope you have a great week. We will see you next Wednesday, and stay tuned to another regular video coming up this weekend. And if you missed yesterday's video, if you're a Canadian, got to wait for you to get a brand new iPhone for basically $650. So that was yesterday's video. If you haven't watched it, be sure to go check it out. So thanks for tuning in this week. I hope you guys have a great week, and we will see you next Wednesday. So bye for now.